Welcome into another edition of the Holton Show. On the other side of the break, ECU great Shane Carden is ready to talk football with us. Hope you enjoy the show. If not, as always,
Holton Nailers turns, and Holton will take off and run himself. He's at the 40-yard line. Holton Nailers to the 30. Look at him go! 20, 10, 5, touchdown Pirates!
There's local politics, bud.
It's showtime!
and we are back. Shane Carden, one of the best, if not the best to ever do it. Welcome to the show, brother.
Glad to be back, guys. Always a good time.
Let's go. So, how's life going? How's high school ball going? I mean, we've talked a little bit about it, but fill in the fans on how's life going.
Yeah, life's good, man. We're preparing for homecoming week this week. Game 4 came out hot first game, went down to some tough two teams the next 2 weeks. Had a bye week at the right time to kind of regroup, get back to the fundamentals of high school football. And yeah, man, we're jacked up. We've had a good first 2 practices. Got a team that I feel confident about this Friday night, and looking forward to it.
Let's go. So we text a little bit about ECU's current season. Like, how much do you get to watch them, or how much have you watched them this year?
Yeah, last weekend was hard. Week before that, I got to watch quite a bit. It just depends on like if they're on ESPN Plus or what they're on, and then what's happening on Saturday. I mean, where I'm at, I'm like the head coach. I'm the equipment manager. I'm the field painter. I am the manager of our youth football leagues. We got youth football on Saturdays. So just trying to get a program of football going up here. And so football in the fall, trying to check my phone, trying to make sure we got enough referees at the game for youth. I mean, it's pretty wild, but nothing else I'd rather do.
Caden, this guy's like the guy that, like, the star that moves back home to a hometown of like no one and just starts everything up.
Hey, where are you in Idaho again?
I'm in Haley, Idaho. I mean, if you were looking on a map, you'd probably find Sun Valley. That's the big resort.
Okay.
Give it 15 years. We're going to see a lot of D1 prospects out of Haley, Idaho.
Hey, no joke, man. I got a freshman quarterback right now. Yesterday practice, things got a little wonky, and he just jumps up middle of the whole group. I'm talking freshman through varsity, and calling everyone up, telling them to get going, just being that guy already. And he's got some skill behind that, so it's pretty exciting.
I love it. Let's go, man. Well, let's talk a little bit about ECU from the little bit that you've seen, obviously, like you said. Like, what has been your take on this offense? Because me, you, and Caden were coached by Donnie of some sort, and we're huge Donnie fans. I love Donnie Kirkpatrick. There probably needed to be a move made just from the offense last year, but from the offense this year, what has been your take on it so far?
I try to think back to like when we got the air raid going, my first few games, and it was a little more hesitancy, and it was like, hey, we got a pretty good defense. Let's take care of the ball. And that was Riley's big thing of like, whoever takes care of the ball is gonna play. And I got in my first game because the other guy was throwing a pick. I got taken out then because I threw a pick, and then I got put back in because he threw a pick 6. So I'm not saying there's one right way to do it, but my overall observation is that they're being aggressive. And I think they probably went into that first game on the erring side of, hey, let's just go. Let it rip. If you think you see it, go for it. Because there is a side of that, especially in the air raid, as you know, like you got to be decisive, man. You got to decide that you're going to throw this ball and let her go. You got to think about where Garcia's at, getting a new offense, new coach, and just being, extremely aggressive. Now, at some point here, we got to tone that line of we got to take care of the ball. We got to understand the circumstances and times when we really got to take care of that football. So, as we all know as quarterbacks, like you got to be aggressive. You got to kind of, live and die by your own sword. But, you keep throwing picks, you turn the ball over, and I feel like our defense, from what I've seen, is playing great. The first game I was really able to watch, and I felt that like the flying around they had, the physicality. It reminded me of when I first got there, that crew that was very physical. And my junior year with like Magazoo and Tudor and some other big-time guys that they brought it. And, there was times in the game like, all right, hey, let's take care of the ball, and let's let the other team make a mistake, and then we'll capitalize on that.
Shane, we talked about the offense a little bit. I kind of want to get your coaching perspective now. You kind of mentioned some player perspective. We are tied for 130 to 124th in turnover margin. And the fans are, you might be on Twitter, we lead the nation at interceptions. As a coach, how much of a leash are you putting on your quarterback so far out of what you've seen off of Mason Garcia?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Jake Garcia?
Jake Garcia. Geez, so many Garcias here at ECU.
You hit the other one?
Yeah. I hit the one from last year. I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, welcome to Twitter now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, it goes back to the conversation. Like, what was the beginning of the season conversation? Like, hey, we got to be aggressive. Let's come out firing. Let's no huddle. All that stuff. And my side of it, like, one of the most important things as a quarterback, you got to take care of the football. You know what I mean? Like, trust to make the next play. If it's not there, eat it. Get a few yards if you can, but trust your teammates to make the next play. Trust someone else to make the play. And maybe there's a bit of that. Like, he's just trying to do too much, trying to be the hero of the game, and that is something I think we as quarterbacks sometimes you try to make the perfect play or try to do it all. Like, trust your teammates to have your back and trust them to make the play. It's okay every once in a while to check the ball down.
Yeah, that's something that I learned later in my career, especially like early on. I understand, like, I mean, he was in a quarterback battle and kind of stepped into one that like it was an uphill battle for him to win. Cause I mean, like, they brought in the other kid, Caden Hauser from Michigan State, and he was like the guy that was presumed to be the next guy. And like in the transfer portal world, he at least had balls even come, like Jake Garcia had balls even come here and, be in a quarterback competition. So like, I can see where he's pressing a little bit, and I understand that. Cause like, I mean, I'm sure you too, Shane, like you talked about a little bit of like, early on in your career, you want to do everything perfect. You don't realize that like sometimes you need to check it down on 3rd and 10 and just take a punt. And that's like the safest option, the smartest option. So like that's something I feel like he'll learn. But like the sucky part of it is like he hasn't played a lot of ball, but he's like an older guy because he's bounced around in the transfer portal.
Yeah, I agree. And I know you're breaking down the film quite a bit more. I mean, what do you see as far as you think he's just trying to press too much? Do you think he's trying to make the big home run play every time?
Yeah, it's weird. Me and Caden have talked about it, man. It's like I don't even feel the first game. I felt a little bit of the pressing, but like I talked about it almost like preseason. Like I was like, you go into that game, kind of like you said, and like you got to go into that game and just be like, look, dude, you're the quarterback. Make the throws. See who your guys are to win 50-50 balls. But then like the ODU game and obviously that game are a little bit different. But like I was talking to Caden and like I was like, he's not even really making bad decisions until the picks happen. Like if you watch the rest of his reads, the rest of his throws, like he looks good. He just happens to have 8 picks in 3 games because the bad ones are like really bad. So, I mean, it's tough to like, say like he's doing bad 'cause he's not. And I see what Coach Houston sees in him because like he's throwing with anticipation. He's taking risk, which in this offense, you do got to, take a somewhat of risk. But at the same time, like, I think he does need to get better at like understanding like his pick versus the App game. I don't know if you saw it. It was the 4th quarter. We're down by 2 with 4 minutes to go. Like you just get in field goal range at that point, and then if you score, it's a plus. But like if you get within the 25-yard line, then you should be good. And he kind of pressed a country route, a deep country route, and cover 3. So like that's one that you're like, I can't do that in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I certainly you've heard from different quarterback coach, hey, you got to minimize the big mistakes. If our bad play is a throwaway, if our bad play is, you taking a sack, we can live with that. But if your bad play is pick and we're having that multiple times, there's got to be correction there. And I do respect the fact that there isn't a short leash or, you know what I mean? Like they're not like, oh, he's out. Next guy, like, because you can't win with that either, right? You got to, at some point, you got to pick a guy and you got to go with it. And I think, I think he has the ability, like you said, the stuff I have seen, some of the throws he's made, it's like, okay, here we go. Like this guy's legit. He's ripping it. I mean, he's making some big time throws. And so, at the same time, if that does continue, if he can't correct those mistakes that are turning into huge mistakes, you got to figure out if there is another option or, maybe just changing that play call in that big time situation.
Yeah, and that's something that like these field out throws, fans don't understand how impressive. Like he's throwing field out throws, like ripping them like on a line. They're not, losing velocity at all. And then like you see that and you're like, dude, holy cow, this kid has potential. And then you'll see, one of the picks and you're like, holy cow, what is this kid thinking? So it's just like you said, there has to be a happy medium. Like I was a gunslinger, you were a gunslinger. Like I'm all for taking risk. I love it, especially if you have a good defense behind you. Like you can take maybe a little more risk, but you still just got to be smart with it.
I'm curious at the point where he's at with interceptions right now, and maybe hearing a little bit of noise if he's on Twitter ever, where his mindset is on like how long is my leash. And I know you both had situations in your career where the leash did get tighter. What's that like when the leash is a little tighter for your guys' mindsets?
Well, mine was way tighter than his. Once Shane got going, he was good, but I was getting heated sometimes. Shane, you can answer that first.
But like when I first got going, I mean, it was like we beat Southern Miss. I don't think we won a game that year, and we squeaked by. Offense wasn't that good. We went to North Carolina and got smacked. And like I think I got sacked 6 times, threw 2 picks or something. And I'm like, well, I don't know what this is going to look like. I already got pulled in that first game for throwing a pick, my first throw. And what the difference was is Riley sat me down in this hallway, and he just goes, "Hey, you're the guy. We're going to correct this. Like, you got to have confidence in yourself. We're going to move forward. We're going to be better." And then we went to play UTEP, got a little better, and Memphis just took off after that. And after that, it was just like everything started clicking. So I think these bad plays have a very good potential of cleaning up. And I think he's going to have better understanding of the offense, better understanding of his OC. Kind of, you get kind of in the real foxhole of the game, not just practice, but you kind of start feeling each other out. Play caller gets to feel what the quarterback likes more in different situations. And there just becomes that trust. When you have that with play caller and quarterback, Holt, as like as a quarterback, you start having confidence. He knows what's to call, and you kind of start feeling off of each other, and it can get rolling. But if you really think about where they're at, this is still very fresh, and I think it has the opportunity. If these things if these bad plays like we're talking about get nixed, I mean, it could be really fun to watch.
And think about that, like all the transfers we had. We had 2 quarterbacks transfer in. How many receivers we have transfer in?
All but one.
Yeah, exactly. Like it takes time, especially those game reps, to fill each other out, especially in scramble drills. They look kind of awkward in scramble drills sometimes, but it takes time to fill each other out.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Yeah, I get that. And like one thing that, we've talked about a little bit is like the mental side of like what Jake is going through. Cause like whether you're on Twitter or not, like you still feel like the fan base and you still feel the pressure of like, crap, I'm leading the nation in picture. Like that is something you feel whether you're on social media or not. And like Coach Houston is really, really good about giving someone a long leash and sticking with them. Like I've talked to him, off air, obviously. And like he said, like, this kid has a ton of potential. We believe in him a lot. But I mean, you still got to fix, the bad plays. But one thing, and Shane, we didn't have, or, we didn't have the luxury of having this, is like the helmet mic that they have now. And you talked about like understanding the OC, like understanding the head coach. Like when we were playing, if it was like a situational ball, like you really didn't have a way to communicate with the OC, with the coach. Now they can literally just talk to him in the mic. So, I mean, obviously that's huge, and something that would play into it, decision making and stuff like that. Because that is, like Shane, that's something you mentioned that I was like in sync with Donnie towards the end of my career, and like especially really about 2 years into it. Like the second year is when I really understood like, okay, what are they thinking here? What is Coach Houston thinking here? And like, was Ruff big on like preparing you situational wise, or was Lincoln big on preparing you situational wise, like heading into a game? Like this is a game where we're going to go for it a little bit more. We're a little bit more of an underdog. Like, did y'all ever have those conversations?
I think it was more like a mentality for that offense in general. I mean, obviously certain games, certain situations, you talk to the sideline as far as, hey, kind of pushing more here, probably going for it on 4th down. You had a timeout, you could have that combo quickly. But a lot of times, like our conversations were, hey, if we're 3rd and long, like we're not calling 4 verts. We're going to call an outside zone. We're going to call, a lot of times screens, pretty obvious call. We're just going to call some basic stuff. If it gets loose, it's great. And I remember the funniest conversation I had with Lincoln, like it might have been a couple years ago at my wedding. He was like, what my favorite play was? North Carolina, 2013. We run Y cross to the left. It's 3rd and 13. I get all the way through the reads. No one's open. I check it over to Cooper. He gets the ball, makes like 3 guys miss, and gets first down. Like we were very much, and I understood for him, it's like, hey, on 3rd and long, we're going to call play. Like if we got it, let's go. But we're not in a situation where we want to press to make this and compound it and make it worse. Let's check it down, and we got playmakers to go make plays. And I remember that play very, very just vividly of how that all went down, and just watching Coop like make 3 guys miss. And our joke was like, hey, these guys get scholarships too. Like just trust them to go make.
Oh, 100%. Talking about Y cross, Caiden, dude, so Donnie brought Y cross. That was like my go-to 3rd down play. Was Justin Hardy the Y cross guy for you? I think we watched a little bit of film where y'all would put him in the slot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was a cross guy, man. That was I think that was the that was the play on 4th down against Marshall my first year, where we were like, we had the drive, it's 2-minute drill. I'm like looking up, like, all right, here we go. I go score this, we can get rolling. Like, this is going to be the start of it. And we go 1st down and completion, 2nd down and completion, 3rd down and completion. I was like, oh shit. And, we call the same play, go up, hit him right in stride. He gets the ball, we drive it down. Donnie calls one of the plays we put in for Houston like 2 weeks before. Hadn't practiced it in 2 weeks. It was like a shallow, like, run the shallow, fake the shallow, then he runs a seam right up the middle, and through a top pylon, Danny Webster catches it. I didn't know he could jump that high, and we score. And, like, just things like that, man. Just, because that's what I liked about Riley too. Like, Donnie get in there, hey, this is working, I'm seeing this. Like, then he's like, all right, I have confidence in you to do that, to tell me that. We'd call it, and had confidence in us to make the play.
100%. Cross, John David Baker in this new offense runs like a version of cross. And like when I'm breaking it down on the film for Twitter, I'm like, all right, this is the cross route. Like, this guy can really do whatever he wants to do if he's good enough and understands ball enough. And like, some fans have asked me, they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, I guess you just got to understand it. Like, in the situation, like if you have a guy that you trust, like, just go get open, dude. You're the main read. Just get open.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you guys were talking about the scramble drill, not feeling comfortable enough. I mean, shoot, man, we lived on that. Like, just when we did scramble drill in practice, and then you talk about guys that I play with, especially Hardy, like, he knew where my eyes were tracking, and he could find that. And the rest of the guys kind of figured it out. And, shoot, man, we made a ton of plays off scramble drill.
Yeah, that's one thing that me and Caiden talked about after the game is like, I wonder if this new like Lane Kiffin tree does the scramble drill, because it doesn't seem like they do. Because when we're scrambling right now, like, no guys are moving, like the quarterback looks uncomfortable, doesn't know where people are going. Like, and I'm sure Donnie got it from Lincoln, was like every Thursday, like that was what we did. That was how we started practice. We would do pat and go with slants and fade balls, and we go straight into scramble drill, and that's like what we did.
Yeah, absolutely. I had another teammate. I asked him kind of what he saw. He was at the game, and he was like, it looked like, with how athletic Garcia is, like in that scramble drill, just not feeling comfortable, exactly what you said. So there's obviously something there. Is if two guys that have played this and in those systems are seeing that the scramble drill is not there. Because, when you get, as we know, like spread offense, you can find a nice seam to get out and roll around. That defense breaks down, and those can be some huge plays.
Oh, 100%. Early in my career, I was running every play. That's how I got in the game.
Yeah, you got in off scramble drill. Going back towards the game, I don't know how much you went back and watched it, Shane, but we started off hot, scored in the first 31 seconds, and then scored a defensive touchdown really quick. But then after that, App kind of settled down and really took advantage of the time possession. I really think that's how they won the game. They took their time. They had 39 minutes of possession compared to our, 21, Holton?
Yeah, 21.
And I think a lot of it was after that second quarter, the offense was off the field so long that it looked like they just weren't in sync. How hard is that from your perspective? I know you've played the Navies in your career. How hard is it for an offense to get that mojo, get that juice back after sitting on the bench for so many minutes? It just looked like they were completely out of sync after App kind of stalled the game for
This
them.
podcast is brought to you by Anson Belts. Go to ansonbelt.com for over 10,000 combinations of micro-adjustable holeless belts. Mix and match, look, the belt and the buckle, that's the best part about them. Once you switch over to an Anson belt, you're not going to switch back. Cade, what's your favorite thing about Anson belt?
There's so many things I love about Anson belts. One is the adjustable waist. In the summertime, we like to tighten it up for that tight body. In the wintertime, we like to loosen it up when we put on our winter pounds. One thing I also love is their ECU belts. It's football season. We all want to support the Pirates. Do it with Anson belts.
AnsonBelt.com. Appreciate the support. Next, want to give a shout out to Clean Eats. Most of their meals are under $8. So they got pre-made meals, frozen meals. Go in there. They got smoothies as well. Okay, what's your favorite part about Clean Eats?
I think the cheap, easy, healthy meals. I hate cooking. I'm a busy guy. I love to just swing in there, grab a healthy, nice, cheap meal. And, hey, it's in a simple, easy location in Greenville and off of Red Banks on Arlington Village.
Next, Caiden, new sponsor. They're sponsoring the film study. We had them last week. Shout out to Kairos Wellness and Float Studio. Look, if you go in there, I was just telling you, they have these huge float tanks. You go in there, zero gravity, takes all the pressure off of your back and your spine, which I have bad back, Caiden. So it's great for me. Then they have infrared sauna, cold plunge, and salt halo therapy. It's awesome. It's at 2800 East 10th Street. make sure you go test it out. Look, it's not just a women's thing, it's a dude's thing too. I'm going to be going in there. You might see me in there just floating. No, I'm just kidding. The door will be shut, but I will be in there a good bit, Caden. It's pretty sweet.
Fun fact, I heard the water in there is denser than the Red Sea.
Dead Sea.
Oh, Dead Sea.
Yes, it is. Make sure you go to Kairos.floats.com.
Yeah, I mean, against a good no huddle, that's the game plan, right? Slow it down on your side. Don't give them a lot of possessions. The biggest thing you got to do is that first down. You get the ball back. Let's say you've had a couple short drives and you get out. Like, it's crucial to get that first down. Then you kind of get rolling. So you're calling more plays that are just back to your bread and butter. Like, right, hey, we feel really good about this. We had our shot play. We missed it. Okay, we got to get back to what we're really good at, what we feel good about against this defense. And then once you kind of get a couple first downs going, then you kind of hurry up more and more and get it rolling. And because it is one of those things, yeah, when it slows down, you get out of sync, it's kind of awkward, and then you kind of get a 3 and out. So it's very crucial to get it going. But once you kind of get it started again, I mean, just right back in sync. And I was watching enough to see that jump out start. Looks great. And then, there's going to be nulls. Like I said, though, you got to get that first down and kind of keep the offense out there, give everyone a little bit of confidence, and then it rolls from there.
Yeah. You played in a quicker offense. I mean, we played in a no huddle offense, but you played in a fast offense. What do you think is big? You just kind of talked about it a little bit, but in that type of offense, you're doing a lot of reading on the go. And how do you think, you look at it, at halftime, we got slowed down the second quarter, like Caden talked about, in halftime, do you go in and say, okay, this is what the defense is running, this is what we can to beat it, which is what me and Caden did with Donnie? Or is it more, with this style offense, it's all right, let's just get back to our bread and butter. Don't worry about what the defense is running. Let's just go execute what we're running.
Well, it's a bit of that. And when you have a defense and you're running no huddle and it's just hurry up offense, defenses really go back to a couple basic things. They either sit back in a certain zone or they'll come attack you. And when you go in at halftime, it's all right, what have they been doing mostly of? Are they going to switch it up here? We really like this on first few plays. I mean, sometimes you need kind of that bread and butter of hey, we got a first play, got a few yards. Okay, hurry up right to that play that we know. We got a couple good reads against their defense, and just kind of get that momentum going and get that pace going. It's all the same in those half times. Just hey, what has been working? What do we need to stick with? What have we not hit yet? And then too, a lot of as you're kind of starting to lose it or feeling like you have to press it. Hey, we got to be calm enough to stick with the run, right? We're not going to score all these points on one shot. We just got to stay with what we do.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I think the most frustrating part as a fan now and not being on the sidelines is when that offense is going fast and having success. It's so exciting. You're like, let's go. Reminds me of the early, when Oregon first got it going and everyone was like, oh my God. And then when it gets stalled like that, it's so frustrating. Yeah, it's devastating. And we on the call-in show, we talk to the fans. They're just like, what in the world? Let's slow it down.
But last year they were like, fire Donnie.
I know.
Screw this.
Hey, I got to commend you guys for going on that call-in show. That's crazy.
It's been fun. When when we talked about it, I was like, dude, we're calling the fans out. We're not calling the players out here. If they're dumb, we're going to let them know because we at least know a little bit more than the fans do. So
I love it. They spew something out, and you're like, no,
here's how, dude.
Here's how this plays.
Yeah. Donnie was on the sideline the beginning of my career, and me and him would get heated. We're the same personality, and we'd known each other forever. So we would just get into it together. And he eventually moved to the box, and it was perfect for us. Lincoln, I'm pretty sure was on the sideline for you when y'all were together, right?
Yep. He was
how was that relationship with you? Because it's so different from being someone in the box that they can talk to you through a phone, but it's not face to face. How was that relationship? Did y'all ever have any feuds or any stories that we could hear about?
Feuds wise, I don't think so. I mean, there was a few ones of good lip reading of what the was that, and just saying, hey, this is what I saw. I think the funniest one was on the field, right? Because we don't have the headset. And I remember just getting smacked one time, and I'm barely breathing. Breon Allen's standing next to me. And I'm trying to look at Lincoln, trying to see the play, and I can't see a thing. Just total blur. So I'm just checking inside zone. Breon's laughing, hey, that's not the play. Hand the ball off. I'm still kind of getting my breath back. He comes back, gets a few yards. He's like, hey, what was that? And I look at the sideline. Lincoln's just. Hey, we're okay. Call the play. We're good now. So, and that time, thank God there wasn't a headset because I probably would have just heard it after that. But no, I think Lincoln was good about just like meeting quickly, right? Like you go in, you talk with them. Hey, here's what we just saw. Here's what just happened. Let's talk. Okay, I'm gonna go over here, talk with coaches on the headset. And then that allowed me to come conversations with my receivers during that time, with the O-line during that time. And then it was kind of, right, let's meet back together. Hey, here's what we're thinking to start next drive. We're getting a little more of this or that. Hey, they're starting to blitz this side. Make sure we attack that. Or, hey, they're blitzing this side and playing that side with zone now. So let's attack away from the blitz. And just stuff like that. He was really good about getting quick information to me. And then I enjoyed having the sideline conversation. Because he could kind of gauge where I was at, and then same with him. Like, what is he thinking? And I didn't have a situation where a coach was up there, so I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, true.
Sideline conversations were something Holton could never have. I don't know.
Not with Donnie.
Not
right?
with Donnie.
Bro, Donnie would just start screaming, and I'm like, bro, come on, man.
The first 2 games of 2019 season, Donnie, or the first year Houston, was it 2019?
It was 2019, and I was sucking too. So
you were sucking.
I deserve to get screamed.
You were sucking the first 2 games, and Donnie was on the sideline the first 2 games, and every time he'd come off the sidelines, he was a little amped at you, and you just couldn't take the amp right off the field.
I was soft.
You were a little soft, and I'll never forget. This is why Donnie stopped being on the sidelines. We were at Navy getting absolutely hammered, and Donnie slammed his clipboard broke the clipboard, and ever since then, Coach Houston's like, no, we're done. He's like, you're up in the box. You two have to have separate. They had to have separation. It was wild. They had separation. Donnie's in the box. They never fought at all.
We would just hang up the phone on each other.
Yeah, you would hang up the phone, but it wasn't like aggressive. I had the whole conversation in my ears. So everyone's asking what's going on. But thank God they took you guys away from each other.
Well, that's just how like our relationship was. Like we would just hug it out after and be like, all right, love you. Like love you too, but you. That's just like
if you guys were on the field past that second game of the 2019 season, I actually think there might have been a fist fight.
Yeah. Well, we were getting crushed. Like I was getting sacked probably like 10 times a game, it felt like, and throwing 3 picks. So like I was just playing terrible. Donnie's probably thinking I'm going to get him fired. And I was, dude, I'm sorry. Talking about stories about you getting hit and getting blurry-eyed, dude. Funny story about that is Houston 2021, Caden, you were gone. I get like knocked out in a play, like knocked out cold. And then the doctors get there. By the time they get there, one of my linemen woke me up. I told him it was my back. So then I had to like sit out a play because the doctors came out there. And I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm going back in. So I go back in and I like you were talking about the eyes were blurry. That's why I brought flashback. So like the eyes are blurry. And I'm trying to look and I couldn't see the signal. So I'm like, Rajay, like, tell me what the signal is. And Donnie, like I could run, but Donnie and Coach Houston didn't want me to as much. I loved running though. And like, so we never ran quarterback power. And I was like, Rajay, you got to tell the offense line the play and tell me the play. I can't see it. And Rajay's like, quarterback counter. And I'm like, bro, I just got knocked out. And Donnie knows I got knocked out. That was his like punishment for me. Like, he was like, you know what? When you're younger days, when you're being an idiot, like, I'm going to give you an extra concussion right here.
Oh, Donnie, no, man. That's not cool.
It was tough. Caden, you got anything?
I think, Holton, you're thinking about going back to play in the spring league. And I know, Shane, I know you had some time in the NFL. What's that like? And what was that like NFL experience like for you? I don't know how much you've ever talked about that. I know it was, a shorter stint than a lot of people would want, but I was just curious what that was like for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you see the pinnacle of what, your goals are, it's a very cool experience. I think also dealing with it for a while after getting cut, it was tough for me, man. I just, we always as athletes compete. And you put in a lot of time in, and then, when you get cut, it's kind of like, well, what now? And I kind of got into a situation where like, I don't know what I'm doing next. And then, going down to, I had a tryout in Jacksonville, and I flew out there that morning, got a physical at like 6 a.m., sat around in the locker room till 10 a.m., went out at the field, warmed up. They said the coaches were coming out to watch. 2 hours later, the coaches came out. We threw about 12 passes. And then they're like, all right, thanks for your time. And I'm just like, well, there's no way. Like, I'm 6'2". I don't throw the ball 80 yards. I don't run a fast. Like, how in this shorts and T-shirt workout is that ever going to work out for me? That was pretty tough to kind of realize, like, man, I just didn't feel good about it, and I wanted to just still go play. And so I was back actually up here, just training and kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then my boy Rocco hit me up about going to Germany, and I was like, no one else is calling. Let's go play. So I went over there and just kind of fell back. Like, half those guys, most of the guys aren't getting paid anything. They're just out there having fun. And, a couple of teams, a couple of organizations we played against were actually like pretty put together and well, and had some good teams. So there were some good games. There's also some organizations where I'm not sure if the field was 100 yards long. And it was in some old stadium that was like kind of slanted. So it was really fast going one way. Make sure I kept those highlights from my highlight film.
I love it.
But then back from that, then going to Canada for a bit, and then playing arena. And my thing with all the guys are, man, like, as long as you're healthy, as long as you're good, like, play as long as you can, because once it's done, it's kind of done. And, Arena League was what it was. There was some success there. There was a lot of interesting things going on within the organization, and had 2 bad concussions back to back. And, I just rocked my world. I was a bit out of it for a while. I wasn't myself. I had to do some like rehab stuff in my head, and just couldn't think right. It was a bit scary. And that's when I was sitting there like, there's got to be more I can do outside of this than playing. And that's very tough to do too, right? To admit that, hey, I'm done. And, I know a lot of people and old teammates of mine that I've talked to, like, there's a tough part there when you're done, right? Your identity as a person really is a football player. When that's done, you kind of lose that. And definitely had to do some searching there. Definitely had to talk to the right people to make sure I stayed in the right mindset. Wasn't always right. And this is probably for some old players to hear too, man. It is tough, and no one just gets out of it and is just like totally fine. Like, there's different periods of trying to figure out who you are, what you're doing. And you just got to make sure you talk to the right people and talk, and don't hold that stuff in, man. Because like a lot of people deal with that. And I know the concussions definitely push that mindset to a worse spot. So, I love the brotherhood that ECU has, and I had a lot of good conversations with old teammates, old Pirates, and I love the community. And so I'll just say, any other older guys that are not older, any guys that are done playing and maybe dealing with any kind of head stuff, man, reach out to each other, reach out to me, because that's a tough spot to be in.
Dude, that is something. And that's like, we were talking about, like, I'm debating going to play in the spring again. And like, we talked about concussions are terrifying. Like, if you've seen the Tua stuff now, it's really, really scary. But like, I had a lot of not a lot of concussions. I had a couple undocumented, which are like the scary ones. Cause like, I mean, Shane, you were a competitor too. Like, as soon as you get concussion, you're out at least 2. You're out the rest of that game and then the next week too. So it's like, do I want to be out then? Like, especially like earlier in our careers, like we were competing, trying to be the guy, trying to establish ourselves. So it's like a tough situation. And now looking back, I'm like, dude, I've already had a lot. Like, and I'm very fortunate because like when I got cut last year from Seattle, I kind of went through that lull of like, well, crap, what do I do? But then you're also like, well, still I might get a call from someone. Like, do I move on? Do I keep the call? Like, do I just not get a job? Like, what do I do? And then like, now I'm in the situation where like I have a good, I like my remote job I have. I like the social media stuff we're doing, but I still have the itch for football. And it's just like a whole different concept. I'm very blessed to like finally found something. I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't have to play anymore, but I still enjoy it and will miss it either way. But like you said, like I have teammates who are like struggling because it's like, dude, these guys play for 14, 15 years of their life. You go to college, it's pretty much your job there. And you're just like thrown on the street and they're like, all right, good luck. Like, you don't know what to do in that situation.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. And like, I think it is a lot. It can be concussions. It can just be, like I said, identity issue. Like you said, it's your whole life. You have a schedule your whole life doing that. And then all of a sudden it's just, all right, figure it out. And, that's not a good situation to be in for a lot of guys. So I think, like I said, having the community that ECU has, I think we're all here for each other. And if guys are listening and want to reach out, man, I'm very happy to talk to any guys. And you're right about that early on playing through stuff. There's definitely like after a bowl game being like, hey, I think sometime I got hit. Oh, last play? Like, no, that was second quarter-ish. Yeah. The trainer's looking at you like, what are you talking about? But I mean, funny enough, like my first year, it seems like when I first started playing to I finished is kind of when this like concussion protocol happened. Because I remember my first year playing 2012, 13, I got smacked open side like not a blind side. Like I was looking left, got underneath the chin, helmet came off, I'm bleeding out. Running back missed his block. It's okay. So I go to the sideline, and it's just a quick, hey, say the month's backwards, you good? I'm like, of course, the trainer, hey, I'm fine. Like I'm definitely not going out because this is like my third, fourth start. I'm good. And then my senior year, it's like you get hit a little weird or you land on your head. It's full on, couple of doctors. Hey, what's going on? Are you sure we like close to pulling you out? And like that, in 3 years, it had changed so much. But those younger days when you're playing and you're like, there's no way I'm hurt. I'm good.
Oh yeah, you're like, dude, I can't get out here. Like I might not go back in. And Coach Houston's thing, remember, Katie would always be like, Wally Pipp. He was ahead of who? I don't even know who he was at. Like one of the best baseball players of all time. He was like, once he got in, then he never played again. And that was like Coach Houston thing, pretty much saying like, don't be injured. So we're like, oh God, like anytime you get hurt, you're like, dude, I'm never gonna go back in this game.
No doubt.
All right, so we have a couple Twitter questions that fans tweeted. We're gonna pop them up right here. You'll be able to see them. To Kenny Curlin says, as a former elite QB at ECU, what advice would you give Jake that he could help him settle down and take control of this offense?
Yeah, I think we talked about it earlier. Just minimizing the big mistakes. Let's make the bad mistakes. Let's take a sack. Let's eat it. Let's throw it out of bounds. As an OC, you don't want to take away his aggressiveness. And like we've talked about, some of the throws he's making are big time throws, legit throws. But let's make our mistakes a lot smaller. Let's minimize the big time turnovers.
100%. All right, pop the next one up there. Kane, can you see these?
Yeah, I got it.
You're saying you can't read the question.
Yeah, my eyes look really bad
all right,
today.
this one's from Clip.
I got it. Yeah, next question from Clip Brock, the legend here. He said, what do you think of Greenville media during your playing days? Too easy, too tough, or just too dumb?
Oh, Clip. Well, I always like telling the story of our entire media department picking UNC in 2013 before we went up and beat them. So that was we appreciate you guys not believing in us. Oh yeah, there was in the school newspaper. Everyone picked UNC to beat us in 2013 of all the media guys. So that was fun. I guess that answer is the too dumb part. I don't think anyone was ever too tough. I think we're in a good media department where I think our guys try to build us up, try to represent us in the right way. But I also don't think they give us too easy of questions. I think they're right in the middle. And then if you want to hear the tough stuff, I guess you just turn on Twitter or listen to the call-in show. But you guys are tougher than I'm not listening to that.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I really never had trouble. Like, being from Greenville, like, it was a lot easier because I grew up with some of these guys. Like, they were friends of the family. But, like, I don't think they were ever too tough. Now, there's always some dumb media people. I mean, that's just, welcome to sports, especially college football. There's always going to be people that have a platform or somehow, like, get some random sports anchor job and they're, like, thrown in there. Like, dude, there's no way you know sports and you're asking this question right now. All right, what else do we got? Do we have any more? All right, this one says, how do you recommend jump starting a high-octane offense that is struggling? We kind of talked about that a little bit, and keep the pedal to the metal until it ignites or something else.
Yeah, you got to trust in what you're doing. You got to trust in what you're coaching. I mean, you can't be a high-octane, no-huddle offense, and then a couple things go wrong, and you try to huddle and slow it down. Like, just believe in what you're doing. And like I said, we struggled those first few games I was playing to really turn it into that no-huddle, fast-paced, scoring a bunch of touchdowns. I mean, and there was plenty of people called for Lincoln's head, called for my head, called for Ruff's head, all of that. And you got to just keep believing what's being told inside that building. And, it's going to click. It just, like I said, just keep believing what you're doing and what the process is.
100%. They're having struggling, Caden. I think you talked about the red zone stats, or what are they in the nation right now?
Yeah, tied 131st.
Good grief. So, like,
and scoring, red zone scoring.
Yeah, and this is a really random story that just hit my head. But so I was like, early in my career, we weren't great in the red zone. And then later we got better at it because you just find your one-on-one matchup, and I kind of learned that, and you learn to scramble a little bit more. I remember going to a practice just as a fan. Like, my dad was the announcer here, so I would go to practice. I remember standing beside Brian Overton, and y'all were doing scramble drill in the red zone, and he was like, we're as good as anyone in the nation at this. Like, how are y'all so successful in the red zone? And, like, what would you like to, I guess, see more of ECU? And then, like, what would you recommend for ECU to be successful in there?
Our whole motto, we said it every red zone day of practice every week, was 5 yards in the red zone is a great play. 5 yards in the red zone is a great play. That's if you get 5 yards and you're in the red zone, you're going to score. So it's kind of picking your shots, like you said, one-on-one matchups, understanding when you get those and taking advantage of that, and then also understanding, hey, like if we need to run the ball right here, get a few yards, that's great. I also think in that spread, like don't get to the red zone and be someone you're not. And I'm not sure, you've watched it more than I have, so I don't know if they're doing this, but don't be 10 personnel all the way down the field, school them, and then try to get in some like 22 personnel and run the ball right up the middle, which you haven't done all day. So just keep those guys spread out. And then our biggest thing was if we get any type of big play towards the end zone, it was an automatic hurry up. We're calling something as fast as we can. And there was so many times we got guys trying to run off the field. I mean, I remember NC State, there was 2 plays in a row. They had 10 guys on the field. I think one play had 9. And like they just had no idea what the heck was going on. We just watched that film laughing, like just when you big play, that's the perfect time to hurry up, especially when you jump into the red zone or even near it.
Well, speed in general just gives you such bland defensive scheme. And that's why it's so successful, is because like they can't dial up these huge blitzes. And like college football now, dude, is so like, I mean, you don't like, I'm doing this film breakdown. I'm like, you don't know what coverage it is on either side. It's not, they're even doing like unsound stuff now. So like you really just got to focus on your keys. And then like when you get down there, Caden, and we were really good at this towards the end of their careers, like just find your best matchup. Like if you can somehow create one-on-one coverage, like you're not going to get better odds than, 50-50. If you have a dude, it's 80-20. Like just take those shots. You got 4 downs to do it. That was my mindset of just throw it, find your one-on-one matchups, create motions to see man or zone, and then kind of base it off of there. Like we did a lot of checks once we got lower, just because I like to throw fade balls to see, like I had a lot of really good back shoulder guys, and then like Sneed was obviously really shifty. Caden, do you have any red zone thoughts?
You just got it. I think I like Shane's answer the best. Just 5 yards is a great play in the red zone.
Yeah.
You can't turn the problem we've had, and you see where we're ranked so low in turnovers, is we've turned the ball over in the red zone a lot this year.
Yep.
Against Norfolk State, against ODU. It's just you can't turn the ball over in the red zone.
Yeah, that's the last thing you can do.
But last question I have for oh, my bad, Shane.
Yeah, one part on that. Like what you were saying earlier is like these guys haven't had the time that maybe, if they were here last year and all offseason together doing that. As we know in the red zone, everything's sped up. Decision has to be faster. The holes are smaller. And if you're not 100% on the same page, first 3 games, that's when those turnovers happen. That's when you're not scoring because, you're not, gelling as well as you could be if you had that whole off season or, from last year's bowl games practice to this year, then all of a sudden you're in there. So that could be it too. And again, like that, those are things you get rid of those turnovers in the red zone. They start clicking, they start playing more and more together. That can turn this thing around very quick.
And that's a great segue to my last question for you, Shane. And I think, honestly, the hardest question of the show. So the Pirates sitting at 2-1 this year so far. Me and Holton have been accused of drinking the purple Kool-Aid, quote unquote.
Fans were hating on us.
I had preseason pick Pirates to win 10 games. Holton had them to win 9. Where are you sitting at? No PC answers here.
Okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with drinking the purple Kool-Aid.
Let's go.
If you're not, then go drink blue or red. I don't know, or green in this case. I got to rep my guys here. I see you get this turned around. Like obviously, I think everyone's saying it's such an easy schedule. Yes, it's not got the names on it that it has, but I think like we've been talking, there's good ball all around, and winning is not easy. I think 10 would be a bit high. I'd probably put it down more at 8 right now. But like, as we've talked about, 8 wins is not a hard thing to do. And I think that's a huge upgrade from last year. So I'd say 8 right now.
That's one thing. If people don't understand like how good our defense is, like we've talked about a little bit, like our defense is going to be the best defense in this conference. Like Caden, you have the stats on them too, of like, they're one of the best defenses in the nation right now. And like, we're only going to play, like these are the best teams we're playing during this 4 games right here. And then, like, we're going to be playing good competition, but not compared to the App State, the Liberty, who has, like, legit, like, dudes. Like, we're going to be facing really good offenses of, like, a lot of transfers and stuff. So, like, this stretch right here is going to be the worst our defense is going to do this year. So, like, having them, that's why I'm so high on this team. Is, like, the offense has time to figure it out because of the defense.
No, I agree. And I like that, Shane is at 8, you're at 9, and I'm at 10. We'll see who gets the closest there.
Let's go. Shane, appreciate you joining, dude. We'll definitely catch up throughout the season. I know the fans love to hear from you, dude. So appreciate it, man.
Yeah, sounds good. We're all a different number, so loser buys the round.
I love it. We'll have to do it. See you soon, man.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Yeah. This podcast is brought to you by Worth Chiropractic, 2 convenient locations on Arlington Boulevard. Make sure you call 1-800-BACK-DOC. Everyday back and neck pain to an athlete back and neck pain. Dr. Worth and his team will get you back to being you. Look, my back's been hurting a little bit for carrying the boys in the betting segment, Kane, which we'll get to in a little bit. So I got to go check out Dr. Worth myself. Shout out to Dr. Worth, 1-800-BACK-DOC today. Next, I want to give a shout out to Big Wayne at Wayne Hardy Law. Personal injury lawyer. If you've been in a car accident, make sure you call 1-800-INJURED. He will make sure that you get all your settlement, everything in between. They'll treat you like family. And last, Matamesquite Goose Club. They got t-shirts, wallets, keychains, classy, college, everything in between, and country, Caden. Make sure you go check that out at Matamesquite Goose Club.
Well, there we have it, Holt. Me, you, Shane, all drinking the purple Kool-Aid. 8 wins, 9 wins, and 10 wins. So who's in buy the round of drinks?
2 people have to, right?
Yeah. So I guess
technically all 3 might have to. If we don't get any of them, then we're just gonna get super drunk.
Well, if Pirates win 10, like I think and hope, I guess you both are buying me around. So
yeah, 100%. Cool dude though. I'm very glad, and we just texted when he got off air, like he's gonna start coming on at least once a month just to kind of chat it up. So it'll be really cool to have him on more.
No, I think it'd be great, and I think the fans love hearing the perspective of 2 great quarterbacks from East Carolina. You, Shane. And then their third favorite signal caller. I mean, their third favorite signal caller, me.
Let's go. How about you in the middle of that conversation going, yeah, Mason Garcia, and no one caught up. I was like, did you say Mason Garcia? Like, you have a ghost in the past?
Well, the problem is, who has back-to-back quarterbacks that transfer in, transfer out? Garcia. So it's like, I didn't even realize I said it until you were like, Mason Garcia. And I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah, man, I thought, I really appreciated his takes. And, like, it's cool. Me and you have always talked about this. Like, this is why we chat so good about balls, because like we understand it, we've been through it together. But like him too is like talking red zone and talking like X's and O's, like 5 yards is a good play, and like that's something that ECU needs to take. And like one thing, and Ken, we've talked about this off air, is like I wish ECU did more of was the empty game. Like this offense is built on creativity, big plays. Like when we had creativity out of empty and a big play, third play of the game, and then you just go away from it. You go away from the empty. I didn't see that much of it. And look, they may have switched it out of cover 2, which if you watch the film inside the huddle with me, like you would have seen they went cover 2 on that play, which is the disaster versus empty. But like even if they switched out of cover 2, like empty is still very, very hard to beat. That was my bread and butter.
Yeah. Question for you: if you had the controller in your hand, the headset on your ears, what's one thing you would change in the offense today if you were out at the OC?
I would literally just say go more empty. Look, empty makes it so much easier to read for a quarterback. The spacing isn't like the defense doesn't have much time to disguise. They have to show you what they're doing. And then also, look, Garcia might not be the best runner in the world, but he can run enough to get, like, he ran a draw. It was an empty draw. They went 4-by-1 to one side, which means 4 receivers on one side. They had a fake little screen to Rajay, and then Garcia ran. It was a 10-yard draw. And like, the more you can do out of empty, the better it'll be for a quarterback. And I'm not going to say Garcia's struggling, but like for a quarterback who's trying to find his rhythm, find who he is within the offense, who he is within the
likes.
Yes. Empty is just a super simple way to get bland defenses, to get the defense to mess up too, which we saw the first drive of the game. And then also like you can still get him some, yards running the ball. You can run jet sweeps. Like you can motion to empty, motion out of him. Like there's so many different ways. I would go more empty. That would be my first thing.
So for everyone listening, Holt's not saying run 100% empty. He's saying add more empty to the game. I know someone's going to take that and be like, we need a run game. We need a run game. And I agree. Looking back at sometimes when ECU struggled when we were there, think of the Scotty Moe era, think of early Houston era. A lot of our electricity came from when we went 2-minute kind of offense, empty offense, and they kind of let you, exactly what you just said there, have those quarterback draws, really show the defense what you're going to do here. The biggest thing in empty, though, for a quarterback, and it's some areas I've seen Garcia struggle in this year, is you really got to find the blitzer, find the hot guy in empty. If you don't find the hot guy, you're going to get blasted. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I agree on that. And what Caiden's saying on this is the hot guy is like the guy who the line isn't blocking. Because obviously if you're an empty, you don't have a running back in the backfield to also pass block. So the most you can pass block is 4. So an answer that these defenses have is blitz 6 because you only have 5 offensive linemen. So bring an extra guy. You're technically hot, which means that guy's unblocked. But like if you got an experienced quarterback, I loved being hot.
You'll kill him.
Yeah, because if you know how to audible at all and see the blitz, like it's easy as could be. And watching at least just the highlights and breaking down the film inside the film on Twitter, I haven't seen many audibles from Jake Garcia. I haven't seen many okay, this is a one-on-one coverage. Like, let's change whatever that play is to exploit this matchup. And, we just talked with Shane about it. Like, in the red zone is all about exploiting matchups. You got to find your one-on-one. First of all, let's see who is the one-on-one guy for Jake Garcia. We go into the season, we think it's Chase. I still think Chase is that guy. Have we seen Garcia exploit man covers with Chase yet? It's like, no, we haven't. Okay, well, we're struggling in the red zone. Let's get some one-on-one matchups with Chase. Winston Wright's a shifty slot.
I like Brock Spalding.
Spalding's, like, we have guys. The red zone isn't about scheme as much as it is timing and exploiting matchups. And I think the simpler you can make it for a quarterback who's struggling, an offense who is struggling in the red zone, is just find one-on-one matchup and exploit it and get to the next play. And Shane did get, you still got to put in look, Rajay looks amazing. The best he's looked since his freshman year. I think we need to give him as many touches as we can. I'm not saying that, but I am saying let's find some matchups. Let's start taking some shots one-on-one. Also, putting the ball in danger, you don't put the ball in danger as much when it's one-on-one as you do versus zone coverage in the red zone. It's hard to read a zone coverage in the red zone.
No, exactly. And I kind of like what you mentioned there. A lot of people, especially in the call-in shows, especially on Twitter, have mentioned they want to keep pounding the rock, keep running the ball more. Right now, and our offense is ranked the 42nd offense in the nation, up from last year around the 127th range, and 88th rush offense. So we're only averaging 3.7 yards on a rush. What's your thoughts on that one?
I think we need to run the ball more. That sounds crazy, but Rajay looks very, very good. Let's get him touches to spread it out, but let's also go empty, go on a jet sweep with Rajay. Rajay looks really good. Let's get him the ball more. What are let's go past this now and talk about Liberty, what we can do better. What are your predictions? How are you feeling about this week versus Liberty?
So Liberty, they were a good team last year. They obviously made it the Fiesta Bowl. They were the number 1 G5 school. If you look at last year, if it was this year, they would be in the college football playoffs, which, Liberty's been a great football program for the last couple of years. And they returned their quarterback, who was really good. And I think they returned, their running back, who was pretty solid as well. But the first 3 games, they played UTEP. They played New Mexico State.
Yep.
And I can't remember the third one off the top of my head right now. But it was 3 okay opponents, probably really bad FBS opponents. And they were just really let them hang around for a while. They really didn't put the knife in the throat like you would think that a Liberty offense would have last year. So it shows they're struggling a little bit, but they have a pretty solid defense. Their defense is solid. So the matchup I'm curious with is, you're usually looking for an offense versus defense matchup. I want to see both on both sides for different reasons, though. We have one of the best defenses in country. We're leading in scoring defense. We have one of the best rush defense out there. We have one of the highest, well, I don't know how to say this one, but we're ranked high in stopping people from converting third downs, which is huge. So people are only converting the third down 25% against our defense. So what I like is really high respected offense from Liberty, respected quarterback with a very respected defense, which is an interesting matchup. Who's going to win there? But then you look on the other side of the ball, is you kind of have an offense trying to gel it together versus a pretty decent defense. So I like ECU. I think our offense, we've seen some bright spots. Can we finally limit the mistakes? It's like you and Shane talked about. When we limit our mistakes, it's fun to watch. We have some success, but then we've got in the red zone and have some red zone blues. So I'm high on this one. I think it's our second hardest game of the year. I think we already got past the hardest game, and we played a pretty good App State team. So I really think that we can come in here and get a W. If not get the W, I know no one wants to hear this. I think we definitely cover the game. But that's kind of my perspective.
Yeah, like that. I mean, I think, first of all, Tony Washington, old Coach Houston coach, and we talked about it preseason.
Great receiver coach.
Yeah, great receiver coach is now he might be the main offense coordinator now.
He's
co-offense coordinator now at Liberty. So that would be cool just to see him. He's a very good coach. He was there when we were there.
Fun fact about Tony Washington. During the OC search, I was promoting Tony Washington.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he would have been a good one. But hopefully we got JDB here. That's just something to keep an eye on. As Tony Washington does know this defense. He's been around Coach Houston. He coached with us for 2 years here, so there is a relationship there. Look, I think our defense is not going to. It's going to be our hardest test for the defense. App State runs more 7-man protection. Run 3 receivers down the field. 2 receivers down the field. Take deep shots. Play action. That ain't the Liberty team we're about to see, though. They're going to be slinging it. They're going to be spreading it out. They're running an RPO offense. This is the offense that I want to see ECU's defense and say, okay, are we a legit top 10 defense in the nation? Because I think we are. I think we got the guys. We got the scheme. We got the swagger. This is the offense. You go out there and show that if you're the defense. Offensively, Taylor Jackson, who was the starting linebacker here last year, is at Liberty now. So there's also familiarity there where he hasn't seen this offense, but he knows a lot of those guys. Well, actually, he knows a lot of the guys. He knows some of the linemen, I guess. He knows a lot of the defensive guys. We got a whole new offense. But there is a lot of familiarity there, and does that come into play? Obviously, emotions will be high. It's kind of a local game. I think ECU can hang in there because of their defense, and our offense just – I said last week, we've scored 20 and 19 versus our FBS opponents. We're averaging 19.5 versus FBS opponents right now. So I think Liberty's too experienced. I think their whole team, they got their quarterback back. They finally got their head coach back and, understanding what they're doing. It's going to be a tough one to go win. We got to fix a lot of things. I don't see us pulling it off. I hope we do. I'm all for it. After this game, though, I think, we run off a stretch of, a lot of wins in a row. This Liberty one's going to be hard, though.
Well, good call-outs there is I have a couple guarantees. One guarantee, Liberty will not run the ball on ECU. We lead the nation in tackle for loss. That's a huge stat.
Yep.
And then that was my only guarantee, actually. But I just thought that was a really cool stat. I don't know how many people actually know that leading a nation in tackle for loss is huge. But a couple things. We're averaging right now in the first 3 games compared to last year, a whole touchdown more than we did last year. That's a whole 7 points. So
we also played Michigan game 1.
Yeah, we did play Michigan. But still, I think I'm high on it. I think that we could win this game. I don't think Liberty's a better team than App State. I really don't.
And I don't either. I wasn't trying to seem negative there. I just think the offense matchup wise is harder for ECU matchup wise than App State was. You go into that App State game, we knew this already just from playing App State. They're going to run stretch wide zone and play action and throw some out routes. Well, the whole game, what'd you see? Stretch wide zone, play action, and out routes.
Well, I think this is better for our defense, actually. This is similar to the offense they see in practice during team period. They see an RPO offense. And this offense has struggled against UTEP. This offense has struggled against New Mexico State. And then now they're finally playing a legit defense. So I think, again, defense, we're relying on you. Defense, please show up. Defense, please keep balling out, playing with the swagger you're playing with. And offense, we're praying that you guys finally show up. Not show up in a bad way, but finally limit the mistakes and score in the red zone.
I hope so. And special teams, make the kicks. That's all we're going to say there. Kane, you got anything else before we sign off?
No, that's pretty much it. I'm excited for this game. I think this is the 3 hardest games of the year. UTSA does look down too. So I think for a lot of fans last week, it's funny. We lost 21-19, 2 points to a very good G5 school. And I think to myself, if we'd have won that game, we would all have been screaming, we're back, we're back, we're back. And then you go on Twitter now, and we lost by 2 points to App State.
With a missed field goal in PAT.
Yeah, 4 points. We should have won the game. People are, what's going on? Can we trust this team? Can we trust this team? I think we're there. We're almost there. I think this team just needs the offense, not the team. The offense just needs a little bit more time to gel. And I think this is a week that we hopefully gel together.
This is a big week for a lot of reasons. I think this is the week where you go up there and you get blown out and the season looks a lot different. A lot of negativity creeps in. Do you trust the offense? There's probably a quarterback change. if you go up there and it's a close game, you still have swagger. Liberty's a good team. If you go up there and convincingly win, you're talking like you are, whoa, we only lost to App State by 2. We have a chance to really do good this year. We can beat the G5 school. So, like, this game has a lot of implications.
Funny story in the G5 school. I just want to cut you off. I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, someone's hating on us.
Someone
we keep
said,
saying G5.
Don't call us G5. I was like,
shout out to Clip for responding. We're not going to say every single group of 5 school. So that's what we're going to refer to as the non-P4 schools.
But I agree with you. If I think this week will be very telling, and we'll be honest. We'll come back if we get blown out. We'll tell you I was wrong on this team. I'll tell you right now, if that happens, I was wrong on this team. But if we go out there and we execute like I think we're going to do, I want everyone else to say they're wrong on this team as well.
There's a lot of believers too, though. Fifth quarter call-in show was a lot more positive than we probably thought.
That was
going into it. So there's a lot of positivity. We'll see how it goes. Make sure you check out Best Bets dropping tomorrow, Friday. Caiden's, yours will be out before this releases on Wednesday, so make sure you go back and see that. Jack's releases on Thursday and mine on Friday. The boys are hot right now.
24-10.
24-10 total first 3 weeks.
Now we're going to lose every game.
Yeah, everyone's going to be putting like $100 bets in. But yeah, keep following the boys. We're producing a lot of content, Caiden. The boys are grinding right now. But it's football season. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah, and if you want to support the boys, support our sponsors, give us a like, subscribe, and we'll appreciate all of it.
Yes, sir. See you next time.